Okay. Whew. This morning I have a Muji person that wants to equate what was given many times, secret practices and, things of that nature, with getting a concept from Muji. I don't care how much of a concept you have. And ego can fool itself with a concept. It can sit there and you talk about being in this, space and you create this within yourself. And you can be fooled with it for a time. But eventually it's going to fall into ego-driven dynamics. Okay? So you can't equate, Advaita satsang givers that are walking, they're talking the talk, but they haven't walked the walk. What do I mean by that? It's easy to say there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to get. You're already that. What is that helping people? What is that dispelling? What is that? You're setting up an idea. Okay? This is the problem with ones like Krishnamurti. Nobody ever came to realization through Krishnamurti. Now, Krishnamurti, you have to understand, Krishnamurti did have a Kundalini awakening. It was very difficult. You'll find a little bit about it in some of his writings, but he never spoke of it. Like so many of the teachers, they didn't speak of that because it is such a difficult thing, a difficult path. Okay? And they chose to, speak of their consciousness where they are now. And unfortunately, it seems like because you didn't get there by your deeds or by your thing, that this is by grace. But what happened is that they don't see that Kundalini awakening was part of the equation and was needed to get to where they're at. It's easy after, when everything dismantles, to say that none of that was needed, but it is needed, okay? So that's the difference. I mean, you can have someone sitting there in the satsang thing, but they're not really giving any practices. They're just giving you ideas, concepts to chew on, in which for a time, like I said, you can have an actor that can be learning a role and take on that role and convince themselves of that role for a time. But it's not going to be sustained. It's not going to be liberating in the end. When Kundalini awakens, and if you are doing the journey in the correct way, it brings up all of these challenges, all these things to be cut through, where no amount of sitting there with a satsang seller of Advaita is going to do that. So just like that person was trying to tell me, that I need to sit with, I need to this, I need to that. I need to understand that these things were so deep. No, he's talking the talk. Okay. Vast difference between having a Kundalini awakening and when things are blown out versus something that's repressed. Okay. This is what happened when you have ones like Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle he's experienced something, but like he says, and I've seen Eckhart Tolle, before you say go sit with him, okay, I've seen him. I've been in Rishikesh when Eckhart Tolle was there. I was there listening, heard exactly what he said, and it was the same thing. Oh, when I do this, he doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't do, because then I put on this hat, and then I'm, he's not stable. It's not, he's in that place where he's seen something, can speak of it, but it's not full blown. He has to hold it with effort. He has to hold it with effort. In other words, now he's trying to conceptualize it. Okay? You can read about these things in the, I can't remember the name of the thing now. There's a very good text that talks about that, the levels and layers of realization. But that type of level and layer where something's been experienced, when they come out of it, he's trying to get the mind not to re-engage, but it's re-engaging. So he's speaking from a remembrance and trying to hold on to something. But if you're trying to hold on to something, you're separate from it, okay? It's not the living reality. So they say for that one, it's not, they have not entered into being free, a moksha. They have not entered into moksha. Moksha is only gained when you're entered into Turiyatita. When the mind is still, there's no more running thought. There's no more of that which comes up to occlude what is there. And when you're doing these practices, you're sitting with a satsang seller. You can repress the mind for a time, but it's not Turiyatita. And that's something people have to understand. Yes, it sounds wonderful. You're already that. There's nothing to get. There's nowhere to go. In one sense, that's true. But it's kind of like the Bible says. You're not there. You don't earn your way there. It's given by grace. But faith without works is dead. It's that same type of thing. Faith without works is dead. Just talking about it without having had the Kundalini awakening and blowing out, it's the same thing. It's dead. You can talk about it. Maybe you have a great concept. You have a light bulb that goes off, and you think you equate that as the same as being blown out. You equate that with, oh, I understand now. Now I'm liberated. No. Okay? And that's why satsang sellers, ones like Muji, that have fallen, okay, and justify their sexual improprieties, they are not liberated beings. Okay, they've seen part of the truth, but they're not in the full truth. Okay? They're not in that fullness of it. Okay, so there's a difference. Yes, they can aid others. They've gone further than where you're at. They can give something to aid you, but don't equate what they're doing with the fullness of it. It's simply not. Yeah, I'm going to get a lot of pushback, a lot of blowback from this, but that's par for the course, okay? I'm going to tell it like it is, not what sounds great to ego. Okay? So I'm going to leave this here. Really speaking, I don't know of one genuine, realized master that did not go through a Kundalini awakening and completion. They may not speak of it all the time, because it is a very difficult journey. And they know that most people are not ready for that. Therefore, they give people pablum. They give them baby steps. Okay. So yes, it used to be that not all these things were revealed. And if you think Mooji's revealing all these things, that these satsang sellers are revealing everything, they're not. Okay? For whatever reason they choose not to, or maybe they haven't had a full Kundalini awakening and they are in that, just some ideations about it. Okay? I know cases like that. Personally, I know gurus that choose not to speak of Kundalini. They have their reasons for not doing so. Because it's difficult to guide people through that journey. It's not for everyone. Okay? It's not for everyone. Not everyone is ready for it. So if this satsang Advaita, makes you feel better, fine, but you're not getting the fullness that's going to cut through to realization. You're going to get something that's going to aid you, convince you to have higher concepts, ideations, make you feel better about yourself or better about things. That's not the same as becoming a liberated being. Oh, I'm going to have a lot of hate mail from this. So if you are a follower of one of these people that are doing the Advaita, you can't teach a path of Advaita. You can't teach non-duality. Non-duality is a state of consciousness. It only happens when everything's deconstructed. And to try to rationalize a world of duality around non-duality is craziness. Okay? And that's what I see a lot of the people that say they're a non-dual guru. Okay? Here the state is non-dual. Here the consciousness is Turiyatita. Here is the living reality of always in that stillness. Always the silence in the midst of sound. Always that stillness in the midst of action. But it's a vast difference of the living reality of it than a concept about it. I could speak all day about the living reality, what's real for here, but what good is it doing you? Okay? I could speak all day from non-dual text, non-dual is. But as a guru, it's my job to come back to the world of duality and give methods and ways forward that can actually move people forward to the living reality of it rather than a concept of it. Vast difference. A vast difference. Okay. And while every day I tell people that that seed of truth is there, which it is, as long as it's covered over with this ideation of being a separate being in this ideation, which is your reality, as you see it. There is going to be that discrepancy for you, okay? So I'm going to leave this here, but don't befool yourselves and think that listening, sitting there listening, and yes, they may have a high consciousness, and it's like when my students come to see me, okay? They come to see me and they're pulled into stillness. They're pulled into quietude. They're pulled into more grounding. Immediately, that's something, but it doesn't stay with them. When they leave, it doesn't stay. It's not permanent. Okay? I cannot give it to them. They can experience a little bit of it, but I cannot hand it to them. They have to make the journey. It just gives them an inkling of what is possible. Okay? Gives an inkling of what is possible. When there's enough of a connect, even watching the videos that I do will help them to bring a sense of stillness, but it's not going to blow out that ego identification. In order for that to happen, you have to make the journey through Kundalini, and you have to confront these things head on in your own journey to cut those threads. Talking about it is not going to cut those threads. Okay? I do give practices that I don't give out. Okay? Because not everybody is ready for it. I don't just sit there and speak of Advaita. Okay? So, you know, there's a very, very big difference in that. I'm going to leave this here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful journey. It's never easy. If it's easy, then you're not on the path that's going to cut through. Okay? The path that cuts through is not easy. Okay? If you're on the high and running there, then you're in spiritual Disneyland. Enjoy the ride, but eventually you have to get off the ride and actually do the difficult part to get to the full moksha, to get to moksha. Okay, so have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. See you online. Namaste and aho.